What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a spicy update to Blue Eyes White Dragon involving the Regenesis. Now there are a couple of additional points that the Regenesis can provide the Blue Eyes, most importantly being a way to protect them through all of their plays if you are able to set up your Archfiend plus your Sage, and then once you get to the end of your combo, if you feel that your Archfiend has done enough, you can start going into a rank 8 option should you wish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the profile, talk you through exactly what we've got, why we've got it, and show you a demo side deck for this current format if you want to be putting Blue Eyes together in general, or if you want to be looking into this particular version. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to miss out on any more upcoming content. So starting off with, of course, the core cards of the deck being the Blue Eyes cards themselves. So we are on 2 Blue Eyes White Dragon and the 1 Jet Dragon. Now, Blue Eyes is going to be your monster bridge for your Regenesis cards. Now, with Regenesis Archfiend, you need to be able to reveal a monster in the hand with 2500 attack or defense. Obviously, Blue Eyes has 2500 defense. You don't want Blue Eyes to ideally be your reveal in the hand because you very rarely ever want Blue Eyes in the hand. There'd just be those times where sometimes you have it. To reveal for your Regenesis Archfiend, you're going to be doing that more so off of the other Regenesis monsters. But if you do open up a Blue Eyes, you can still utilize it that way as well. The Jet Dragon is completely optional. It is a 41 card deck. You can cut it out if you need to. I just like it as that floatable level 8 that can keep coming back to the field, and an effect that a lot of people forget about, which does give you that bounce during the battle phase, which could be very, very useful. For the Blue Eyes starters, we are on 3 Sage, followed up by 3 Maiden. And for this version, we are on the 1 Neo Kaiser Seahorse and the 1 Master. As we are not going down the route of playing Master Magia, and if you wanted to, by all means you could do, you'd basically swap out your Master with Eyes of Blue for your Priestess, and then you'd work your way into adding a Blue Eyes Chaos Max, and then add in Ultimate Fusion. We've decided not to go down that route. You can do, it is an option, but with this one, what you want to try and use is you want to try and utilize your Neo Kaiser as an additional starter. You want to normal summon this, unless you can get a Blue Eyes to the field and then you special summon it. It can open up some Synchro level 12 plays for you as well, which is where some of the more flexible options for this deck can come into play. Ideally, if this gets sent from the field to the graveyard, the card you're going to want to send will be your Maiden of White, because you have that ability once you get the Blue Eyes to the field to then bring it back. Or if you don't have a way to get a Blue Eyes back from the field, you can always send a Blue Eyes White Dragon and then revive it off of the Blue Eyes Spirit. Master is your ideal additional normal summon off of the back of your Sage with Eyes of Blue. So the idea is that you get to the additional normal summon of Master. This lets you add the Sage back from the grave, so you're recurring your resource, which can be very, very important for this particular build, as you want to be as aggressive as you can. For the spells, 3 Wishes for Eyes of Blue, followed up by the 1 Mausoleum, Roar, Majesty, and True Light. Pretty staple in your Blue Eyes spell and trap lineup. So now on to the Regenesis. Now what the Regenesis are is they're a mixture of level 7s and level 8 insane boss monsters for the main deck that can either search themselves and then obviously become ways of disrupting your opponent. I'll talk you through them as we go. So the main starter of the Regenesis kind of side is the Archfiend. So this one, reveal a monster with 2500 attack or defense to special summon this card from the hand. And on normal or special, you get to search out a Regenesis card. In that scenario, you can pretty much search out a Regenesis Lord, Sage, Dragon, Warrior, or just work your way into a any other kind of monster that you might need. These will all have the same effects. If they're in the graveyard during your opponent's turn as they were sent there that turn, it then lets you add themselves back from the graveyard to the hand, so it just gives you more recurable aggression, especially with the remaining 4 cards being Sage, Dragon, and Warrior, as these 3, and I'll talk to you about the 4th one in a minute, don't worry, I didn't miscount. Especially with these cards being able to summon themselves to the field if you have a monster with 2500 or more attack or defense. And the benefit of something like that is you're constantly always going to be able to have a Blue Eyes to your field, whether you're going to be using True Light to revive it during the end phase, whether you're going to use Roar. It's just going to give you the ability to summon these cards back once they come back from the grave to the hand, and that gives you an Omni Negate in Sage, a banish of a spell and trap with Dragon, and then a return of a monster on the field with Warrior. So you're covering all the bases, and you're just being able to constantly keep looping back the resource. The most synergized one will be the Regenesis Dragon, as it is a dragon and it is also a level 8, so it can be utilized as overlay material for some rank 8 plays should you wish. The last Regenesis card that I play, or the monster that I play, and again is entirely optional, is the Regenesis Lord. What I like about this one is this gives you the ability that you search it off of the back of your Regenesis Archfiend. Regenesis Archfiend gets you Lord. You can then tribute off, technically banish your Regenesis Archfiend from the field, as this requires you to banish a monster with 2500 attack and defense. So you get rid of the Regenesis Archfiend, you summon down the Lord. Lord would then allow you to set another Regenesis card. Whether you're going to be going for the Regenesis spell, whether you're going to go for Regenesis Code, or even the trap card in the form of Regenesis Birth, it gives you a form of interruption and a form of grind states with aggression behind it. This becomes 5k during the battle phase, so it goes up by 2500, which again could be another one of them ones that when you're comparing this with Tyrant Dragon, for example, Tyrant Dragon can clear the field off, and then your Regenesis Lord can go for that one punch smack of 5000 damage, which may be enough to finish the game off. It is additional aggression that you may not want to use, which is why it's an optional choice that you can take out should you wish. We are then on free Regenesis, so this allows you to take a Regenesis monster from the deck and add it to the hand, or send it to the graveyard. If you control a Regenesis monster, you get to add a monster with 2500 attack and defense, which in this particular version, the only card you're going to be searching is another Regenesis monster, so it doesn't make much of a difference. It has a graveyard effect. You get to banish it to then target a Regenesis monster in your graveyard and special summon it. You can only use each effect once per turn, but you cannot use the graveyard effect of this card the turn it is sent, so that's a very important thing to remember. The last two Regenesis cards we are playing is the one Regenesis Code. This is the card that does clash the most with the deck because when you activate it, you're locked out of the extra deck until the end of the next turn, which means that during your turn, you won't be able to produce monsters from the extra deck, and then during your opponent's turn, your Blue Eyes Spirit will be completely shut off. So you do need to be very, very careful with this, which is why we're only playing it as one, as it is an aggressive option that you might want to search, or it's one of them cards if you feel you have enough monsters being able to get to your field without accessing the extra deck, so like a whole hand of Regenesis, then maybe during the draw phase, you'll activate this to get you direct access to your Sage, and that means all of your plays from that point on will technically be semi-protected, and that can be very, very useful for you. The last Regenesis card we play is the Regenesis Birth. So this allows you to send a Regenesis monster from the deck to the grave to then target one of your opponent's monsters and flip it face down defense position. And then during your opponent's turn, you get to send this card to the graveyard to special summon as many Regenesis monsters as possible with different names from the hand, grave, and or banished. You can only use one effect per turn. So you're either sending a Regenesis or you're reviving a Regenesis, but it does open up the door to be very, very useful for you in the grind game, as you're constantly going to be able to keep sending a Regenesis card and recycling it back during the end phase of your opponent's turn and keep flipping your opponent's monsters face down. Moving on to the hand traps. So for the hand traps, we are on free Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Now, if you do have access to the Moltromi Fluoros, I by all means say that you would max that out at free, and these are the cards you might want to consider changing around. So at the moment, I've got 2 Ghost Bell, 2 Ghost Ogre, and 1 Effect Veiler. So if you were to add Fluoros to this one, again, you can cut the deck down to a 40 card deck, take out the Bells, take out the Ogres, and go free for free Fluoros. It is entirely up to you. You have flexible in this deck already. I've already shown you that Lord is flexible. I've already shown you that you have flexibility in the form of the Jet Dragon. So that's 2 cards straight away, taking those out, taking the deck down to 39 cards. Take out your 2 Ghost Ogres or 2 Bell, whichever are the least effective to your environment, and that's where your free Fluoros come in to fill up the space to make it a 40 card deck. Then we do finish it off with free Infinite Impermanence. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now to show you the extra deck. Now this is one big benefit of the deck as well, is it completely opens up your options for your extra deck depending on what you want to have access to. So for the link cards at base minimum staple, we are going with 2 Spirits, 1 Hieratic Seals, 1 SP Little Knight, and the 1 Liner, the Light Charmer. Pretty standard on this lineup. Liner is slightly flexible depending on the environment you're going to. It might become less effective, so you can very easily take that out, and that's when some of the other cards I'm going to show you to finish the extra deck off come into play. For the fusions, 1 Tyrant and 1 Neo, so targeted protection and then being able to attack all your opponent's monsters, and recycle trap cards. So remember, you can actually recycle the Regenesis Birth after you've used it to bring back all your Regenesis monsters. Not that you should really need to, because by that point you should be able to complete game. Then we do move into the Synchros. So for the Synchros, we've got the Spirit Dragons. And remember, the Spirit Dragons have 2500 attack as well. So if you were to go through Spirit Dragon and then summon down your Regenesis, you're absolutely fine. Then we have the targets to come off the back of the Spirit Dragon, your Defender in the form of the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, your Back Row Hate in the form of your Lightstorm Dragon, and then your Aggressor to help you push through for an OTK for the Ancient Fairy Dragon. Now, keeping in mind, this one you're going to want to utilize in the battle phase, so it's very rare that it stays on the field to be utilized as Regenesis fodder. But if you are forced to tribute off your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon and you're going second, for example, you can go into the Ancient Fairy Dragon of Life. This can be in defense and still attack with defense, but it'll be 2500 attack, which means your Regenesis are still all online. So if your opponent is trying to interact with your Spirit Dragon and they feel that that's going to stop you getting to your Regenesis, you can target dodge out of the way and go for your Ancient Fairy Life Dragon. Now, I've only shown you 11 cards for the extra deck here. The idea behind this one, sorry, I believe it's only 12. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, only 12 on this one. And that's because the last 3 slots really come down to the preference of what you want to have in your side deck. So in the side deck, if you want to go for something like a Ultimate Slayer, then you can open up the door to a Malong, a Garura, and a Tri-Brigade. So you've got your Link target, Fusion target, and Synchro target. You would also then find space for your Adjugator, and that's where your Liner would come out to play, and you'd get rid of all of that, and then you'd have 4 targets for your Ultimate Slayer targets. The current targets that I am playing in the deck is I've gone with a bit of a small rank 8 engine. So I've gone with the Hope Harbinger. If I do Dragon Lock myself, I can still make this. I've got the Ding for the destruction protection, and I've got the send off the field, which can be quite useful. This can very easily be the number 90 Galaxy Lord, but the way that I kind of saw it as I was making my plays is by the time I get to the point of having 2 level 8s on the field to make the Galaxy Lord, I'm already past Nibiru territory, so it's not really going to help me that much. So I'd much rather go for the Spell Negate off the back of the Hope Harbinger than that option. And then the final card is the one Typhon. Again, these are probably the more generic options you're going to want to play in your extra deck, but I just wanted to show you that if you were to use Ultimate Slayer, these are targets you can consider, and of course the Adjugator, so you're covering all bases, depending on the environment and the format that you are attempting to take this to. Then for the side deck. So for the side deck, I've decided to go for pretty standard, and I'm not going to spend much time on these ones, Artifact Lanciers and Drolls, pretty much the hand traps of the format. You can consider Nibiru, but I feel the higher level players will decide to play around Nibiru or can play around Nibiru, and they'll be a little bit more respectful for it. And I've kind of fallen foul to it quite a few times where I've got Nibiru, but my opponent technically reads it and then plays around it a lot easier than it is to play around these particular cards here. Then for the spells, I decided to go with the Tribal Tactic Frost package. So you're going to be playing 2 Tribal Tactics Frost. You can play 3 if you want to. I just wanted to have more targeted options. So for the options I've gone with this, I've gone the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster and 2 Lightning Storm. You could very easily take out a Lightning Storm and go for a Tribal Tactic Talent instead. That just gives you the option to have a bit more variety. Now the reason we've gone with this one is we are playing some trap targets on the back of this one as well, being Mischief of the Gnomes and Artifact Sanctum. Now, I'm slightly tempted to double up the Mischief of the Gnomes for the pure fact that I have more in this deck naturally with Artifact Lancier to deal with the Malice matchup, but then you could arguably say that you've got Droll plus Gnomes to deal with the Mitsurugi Ryzeal matchup, and then you've got Lancier plus Sanctum. Whether you feel that is enough to your environment, like if your environment only has 1 Mitsu Ryzeal and 1 Malice, you probably got more than enough to cover that. If you feel that there are going to be multiple Malices, you might want to consider more Sanctums. If you think there's going to be more Mitsurugi Ryzeals, you're probably going to want to consider more Mischief of the Gnomes. And the ones that you can kind of free up to make that space, if you do choose to, would be the 2 Dragon's Mind. Now, I still really like Dragon's Mind for this particular deck. I don't think it's the most broken card optional. I think it's a nice option. It's one of the ones that relies on you to have a monster with 2500 attack or defense, which with the Regenesis, you're going to have more consistently. I don't want to be ending my field and not have a monster with 2500 because maybe my opponent's Nibiru'd me, and then I have to use my True Light as early as possible to bring up Blue Eyes back to have this online. It is definitely an option for you. It's definitely something you could look into, but I feel that these can become quite flexible if you wanted to double up Gnomes and Sanctum if you needed to. But the fact that you can recycle this just gives you a solidified option. We're in a particular game state right now where if your opponent cannot break your first turn field, it's more than likely than not they will scoop or you're going to OTK in the next turn. So being able to reset that isn't that big of a deal. In a grind scenario, being able to reset this card will be the big difference, and that really kind of, again, comes down to the environment. If you've got time on your side, if you've got the ability to outgrind your opponent and your opponent is willing to be going into that grind state, then you'll be in a very good position. This will only be going in if you've lost game 2 for the pure fact that you'll know you'll be going first, and then it's only going to be going in if you've lost game 1 and then you're going to go first to try and defend your position or kind of stop your opponent breaking your field to then go to game 3. So it's one of the ones that I just felt didn't have as much versatility, but it's still a very, very good option for the deck as well. And that is pretty much it for the entire profile. Hopefully you've given this a bit of an idea behind the Regenesis. I'm not saying that this is the best version ever, but I have quite enjoyed playing Regenesis Kashtira right now, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it out with Blue Eyes, as that was a conversation that popped up when Regenesis was first announced, where it was like Blue Eyes with Regenesis or Dark Magician with Regenesis, and it was something that I thought I'd put together, have a go with, and see if I liked it or not. It does work out quite nicely. It does give you a very nice aggressive option, and it gives you one of the ones that if your opponent is going to try and mess with your levels because they're playing Mischief, or they're going to try and stop you going into the extra deck, or they're going to be going for a Kashtira Unicorn to kind of rip him from the extra deck, this just gives you another aggressive option that not a lot of people are expecting and not a lot of people kind of know what the Regenesis fully do right now, it is a very, very fun option. It's relatively cheap right now. I think like the Regenesis themselves are about £15 each. Archfiends around about 10 to 15. Sages are £1 each. Lords are about £1 each. And then the others are commons. So it's definitely something you could look into and play around with if you wanted to. I like it as an option. And I do kind of like what the Regenesis can do, and I'm just trying to be a bit more creative with the different kind of variants that I can mess around with, play around with, and see how they do. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know in the comments down below what you are looking forward to mixing Regenesis with if you are a Regenesis fan, or another art type that you might look to pick up Regenesis for in order to kind of be a bit more creative and give you a bit more of an edge. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.